Okay, welcome everyone. Today is June 13th. Today we're going to talk about the application for the CBAP. Uh, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, dear.
Yes,
It's
Okay. So the application fee is discounted to $95 US instead of 145 for I think all of you. Um, all of you are in Region 1, which is basically first world countries. Uh, this is only the application fee, not the exam fees, and it has to be purchased sometime this month. The application itself requires you to do a little bit of work beyond just paying the fee. You can pay the fee right now. You don't have to do anything to pay the fee. So I want to have that ready for you. But I want to talk about applying for the app for the certification exam right now. So let me minimize this. Um, and I want to go to here. In are all of you members of the IIBA?
I am.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, and Gabriella?
yes,
Okay, very good. That means you get a discount already, so that's good. So, being members of the IIBA, you have access to the IIBA's website, which is IIBA.org. And then if you go in and just put CBAP here, you're going to get to this screen. And this takes you to the Apply Now screen right here. The CBAP handbook is a PDF that you download that gives you a lot of information. I think I've told you all the important stuff. You are welcome to download this and just review it for yourself. Now let's talk about the application itself. Um, in the last 10 years, you have to have had about 4.5 years of business analysis experience to apply to qualify for your CBAP. That means 4.5 years of doing business analysis work, regardless if you had the title. Um, Being a parent is doing business analysis in many cases. Being a student, being an analyst, being a supervisor, being a volunteer for a non-for-profit organization, and then there's all those jobs that are like, I'm an analyst in an organization. They don't call me a business analyst, but I'm doing business analysis work. That qualifies. We just have to put it in the right language so that they understand that you're doing business analysis work. There is a step-by-step application process guide. I think what I've got is better than that, but I'll show that to you in just a minute. So you got this right here. So the CBAP, you'll pay $95 US for the application fee. After the application fee, you put in your application information. So it's really two separate steps. And I'm going to give you a worksheet in, I've given it to you in Slack that is going to help you walk through that. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. After your application is accepted, you have a full year to take your certification exam. The exam fee has to be paid before you take and schedule your certification exam. And then if you don't pass it, there is an exam rewrite fee, which you can see is less than the exam fee. And that means that you can take it again. There's not a delay. You don't have to wait 6 months to be able to take it again. You can take it again in a week. Um, and then you need to maintain after you get your certification, and I'm confident every one of you will, you need for the next 2 years, you need to track your training that you receive to just stay up to date in your own skills. And there is a recertification fee of $85, and you can get more details there. So I think this is, well, let's just go there. I think this is every 2 years. CBAP, it's 3 years, and you need 60 PDUs. I'm sorry, CDUs. CDUs are super easy to get if you're teaching. They take a little bit longer if you're just taking courses. If you're teaching, it's like 10 times the amount in an hour than you would do yourself. So all you have to do is give a couple of talks and you got your 60 CDUs. Let's see, let me go back. In this same sheet, you're going to see a whole lot more information. Here's your handbook. Here's the application process guide we talked about earlier, FAQs if you want to go through that. And then here you get some more information. This takes you to the competencies, and this can help you do some of your training and evaluation. This breaks it down literally into the different tasks within the knowledge areas. And then let's go back. You've got sample questions here that you can links somehow aren't working very well. Okay, here they are. Here's your blueprint for all your knowledge areas. It tells you what percentage of your questions on your CBAP are going to be from each knowledge area. This is chapter 7. As I've told you probably too many times, a third of your questions are going to come from chapter 7. That's why we hit it so hard, and we'll go back through it again. And then here are sample questions that you can go through yourself. This is straight out from the IIBA, so you can see what their their level of difficulty is for your questions. Any questions so far?
I got one question, please.
Yes.
Let's say I buy the application, the voucher for the application fee. So does
Mhm.
it mean the content of everything that has to go in for the application also needs to be ready by June? And do I also have to
No,
schedule for the exam or
no, 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 no,
no?
no. You
Mm,
pay the fee and you can
mhm.
stop right there until you
Okay,
get ready to put in your application.
right.
Once your
Okay.
application is put in and accepted, you got a year to be able to take the test. You have to
Mhm.
pay the exam fee to do the scheduling.
Okay, clear. And generally, how many days do they take? I mean, what's the period like for assessment and to receive a response to say whether my application is accepted or not?
I
Generally,
felt
what's the
I
trend like?
did. Okay, so there's three different possibilities. There's a possibility that they will not even check with your references. It takes 5 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me one of the two times I applied. The other one is they check with your references, and I always tell you, and I'll tell everybody, um, be sure that your references know that you're using them, and be sure that they're going to be responsive so that they can respond to the email, because their response to the email dictates how long it's going to take. The third option is that they do a full audit. I haven't heard of this in years, and it doesn't mean they're not doing it. I just haven't heard of anybody getting audited. And that's when they actually go in and they say, okay, you said you worked at this company for this period of time. I'm going to call this person that you gave me and ask them, or send them an email. Did you really work for this company at this period of time? Did you have these
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities you talked about? So I tell people typically give yourself 2 weeks. Um,
Okay.
I I don't expect it to ever take more than 2 weeks, especially if your references are responsive. And you're
Mhm.
going to choose people that you trust to be responsive to start with, right? So ask them if they can please respond within 2 days.
All right. Sounds fair.
Okay. So any
Thank you, Tia.
questions? Oh, my pleasure. Any questions about the application? It's the process, and then we're going to go into the application. Okay, let's go into Slack. Oh, not that Slack. Let's go into this Slack. So in your Slack channel, I posted this last night, and it's a link into what's in the file repository at the very bottom. This is your BA development log. So it's available to you. And this is what it looks like. And I want to walk through it with you. I tried to make it where it was self-explanatory, but this is complicated. And I don't want you to be stressed about it. So I want to walk through this with you so that you understand this. First of all, have y'all ever seen this before? Have I ever walked through this before with you?
No. No.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. I didn't think I had, but I've got several classes and I want to be sure I'm talking to you appropriately. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So let's just start from the top. You need to have about 4.5 years of experience in the last 10 years So even if you have a hiatus, if you had a job that wasn't called business analysis, whatever, you got 10 years of that they're going to track. And if you put a date in there that's before 10 years, the system cannot accept it. So even if you've worked at some place 12 years, put your beginning date as 10 years ago. Okay? That's really important. The CBAP requires you to have a minimum of 900 hours in 4 of the BABOK knowledge areas. And this spreadsheet will take care of checking that for you. You don't have to stress about it. You just have to understand that right now. You also have to have 35 professional development hours within the last 4 years. This class is going to give you 35 if you've been attending, but you can also use other things. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more deeply in a minute. Qualifications for your professional development hours. This is really important. Some people say, well, I watch these things on YouTube. Tell me if you think things on YouTube will qualify at this point. You have to have a moderator or facilitator of the sessions who leads the group and individuals through the material. So, yeah, maybe you can get that on YouTube. You have to have measurable learning objectives directly applicable to the role of business analysis professional. If they don't publish the measurable learning objectives, if they don't say by the end of this session you should be able to X, you don't have measurable learning objectives. You need to have opportunities for students to interact with the material and ask questions. So that kind of throws YouTube and Udemy and a bunch of the other sources of training out the window. On the other hand, attending IIBA chapter events, taking classes through your work, all kinds of things do qualify for this. And the next one is opportunities for students to practice the task or objectives being presented and being assessed by the facilitator and moderator. So say you go to an IIBA event and they do a workshop and you say, they say, let's develop your elevator speech so that you can explain what you're doing as a business analyst. And so you practice and then y'all take turns giving it. That qualifies, right? Because you're being evaluated, you're presenting your work and you're being evaluated. This also, other things that might qualify would be, well, it would qualify, would be if you were to take a course, like a local community education college course, or if you were able to take if you were in a like a club and like Toastmasters. Toastmasters helps you with elicitation. It helps you with presentation. Toastmasters is an excellent example because you do your sample speeches and they give you feedback. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the references. Let's jump to that. Your references need to be 2 people that you've known at least 6 months. Guess what? By the time we finish this, you've known me and I've known you for 6 months. They can be credentialed CBAP or CCBA or CBAP people. They can be your career manager or an internal or external client, past or present. So that means that somebody you work with that has mentored you, somebody you work with that's your coworker, a manager, a group manager, as long as they know your work reasonably well, where they can honestly attest that you have been doing business analysis work. So think of 2 people that qualify for this and that will be responsive to an email. You need to provide their name, their work email, and I believe their phone number is on this too, but I'm not positive. We'll talk about that when we get there. It does want the work email though, not a Gmail, not a Hotmail. So it just won't accept stuff that looks like it's personal. Any questions on references? Or do you have an example let's talk about?
Does it have to be a direct line manager, or can be, for example, like an operational manager for the?
It can be anybody that knows you've done the job. They
Okay.
need to know your job well enough to be able to attest that, yes, you're doing business analysis work. And from my understanding, they actually get a copy of what you submitted that says, I work at this location from here to here. This was the purpose of our project. These are the things, these are the knowledge areas we worked in. They need to be able to say, yes, this is true.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so these are the steps we're going to go through. We are in the process of studying and preparing for the exam and also fulfilling our eligibility requirements. You number of years of experience you've had in the past, things like that. You're going to purchase your application, which is the fee that is currently discounted. You're going to keep your eligibility details in this document, and that's the tabs we're going to go through in a minute. Then you're going to submit your application and agree to the attestations. The attestations are things like, I will conform to the IIBA's code of conduct. I'll be honest. There's a few things like that. Then you're going to receive your application acceptance via email, and that usually takes about 2 days. Then whenever you're ready, you're going to purchase your exam, and that is that second fee I told you about. You're going to review the rules and system requirements at the PSI test center. They're going to, it's going to say either you're going to take your exam at home or you're going to take your exam at the PSI test centers. And I highly recommend, and I'll talk through this in a second, highly recommend you plan on going to a PSI test center. Then you're going to schedule your exam, and then you're going to go take your exam and get certified. So let's go back to why I would recommend you go to a test center instead of at home. PSI test centers it's a proctored exam, which means that they're going to be watching you to be sure you're not cheating. They're going to check you before you go in to be sure you don't have notes written on your arm or, Bluetooth in your ear that somebody's telling you the answers. They'll check your glasses to be sure they're not smart glasses so that, you're not getting information that you shouldn't be getting. They want to be sure you're getting the information out of your own mind that you've studied and that they're testing your mind, not some other random thing. If you do it at home, you're responsible for your tech, which means if you've got a virus detection system on your computer, it may clash with their firewalls. If you have any kind of internet challenges while you're at home, you're responsible for it. They will check your room that you're in. See the words behind me on the wall? They would freak out. You cannot have words around you. So they don't want any books in the room. They don't want any words on the walls. They want to also examine your room. They want to examine in the drawers if you are at a desk. They want to examine under the desk to be sure nobody's under there that's giving you the answers. They will check the pictures on the wall. I've had people tell me that they had to go touch the picture to prove to them that it wasn't a smart TV, a smart monitor. It was just a picture. Um, then they want to check you. And they're going to do this whether you're in person or not, but they will check you. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. I've had people that have literally had to go to a hallway or straddle a toilet in their bathroom to be able to take the test to do it at home. That sounds horrible to me because my stress is I want to be sure I get my information out. I don't want to be uncomfortable and in a weird location at the same time. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So going to a test center, this is what you would experience going to a test center. And I can't tell you they're all exactly the same. I've had a lot of students give me feedback on what they experienced, and I'm going to tell you what I believe it's going to be for you. First of all, you make your appointment and you have a date and time that you need to be there. I encourage you to arrive 30 minutes early. I encourage you to go to the bathroom before you arrive. If you can, go into a nearby building and use their public restroom, I think that's a really smart idea. When you arrive, you need to be sure of two things. You have to have a government issued ID, and that government issued ID needs to have the same name on it as your IIBA membership. Because when it feeds from the IIBA, they give the name. if your name, especially for those of us who are females, we take a different name when we get married and we may not have updated the IIBA membership, it's got to have the same name. They will turn you away. And I've had students that get there and they say, it took me so much courage to get here. If you make me leave, I will never come back. And they were able to figure it out, but don't count on that. Be sure you have the same name on the two documents, on your IIBA membership and your government issued ID. They will not let you take in your keys, your phone, a water bottle. They won't let you take in anything. It's you all by yourself. If you carry any of those things in, and how can you not carry the keys to your car in, right? Carry those things in. They will give you a bag. It's a heavy duty cloth bag to put those things into. They will roll it up. They will lock it with a key. They will keep the key and they will give the bag back to you. That means you keep possession of those things that you took in. You just don't have access to them. They're going to stay in the bag. I just hung my bag, had a strap on it. I hung it across the back of my chair. Wasn't a big deal. But that means that at the end of the test, they will take the key, they'll take your test, they'll take the key, unlock it, and give you back all your things. But just be prepared. You know, if you take in food and stuff, it's going to go in that bag. Just it's easier to leave it in the car. Okay, so whenever you walk in, they're going to ask for your government issued ID and verify that it does match your face, does match the name that they have on the application reservation there. And then they're going to give you a form that says you're here to take this specific test. You sign the form. Then they're going to basically search you. And it's kind of like a TSA in the United States, we call it TSA, the security at the airlines. You know, whenever they make you walk through the scanner to be sure that you don't have anything you shouldn't have, they don't have a scanner there. They're going to check, you know, if you have long sleeves, they're going to make you pull your sleeves up. If you have a hoodie on, like a hood that comes up over your head, they're going to check inside of that and make you shake it to show that you don't have anything hidden in there. They're going to make you pull up your pants legs to be sure you don't have anything stuck, onto your shin. They didn't check my shoes, which was weird. You know, they didn't make me take off my shoes and check inside my shoes, but they check everything else. Then they'll take a wand scanner for metal and they will wand you. They will check behind your ears and inside your ears to be sure you don't have a Bluetooth thing there. I had one student tell me they stuck their finger in my ear and touched me, and it just freaked her out. The individuals that are doing these exams, it's their job to be sure that you're not able to cheat. They don't think you're dishonest. It's their job. So they're trying to be sure that nothing that you take in there is going to allow you to cheat. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Steve.
Okay. Okay. They're not trying to be offensive at all. It is, I mean, they're actually harmed by being offensive. They want to be prudent. And so that's why they're being so thorough. So once they know who you are, they've checked your stuff in, and they've checked that you don't have anything on you that is not allowed, they will take you into the exam room. The exam room looks like this. I don't know if y'all experienced this whenever you were in school, but have you ever sat at a desk that had walls on each side of it, just out to the edge of the desk, so that you couldn't see what was going on the desk beside you? Are y'all familiar with those kind of desks?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The whole room looks like that. And in here in the US, the rooms are about, I don't know, 15 by 25, something like that, depending on where you go. Uh, Sometimes these places are in strip malls, and it's just like a little store that they've converted the back of it into a testing center. And so you walk into this room and they will set you at the desk that they want you at, because they keep people separated. They keep desks between people. Sometimes you're going to be the only one in the room. Sometimes there will be other people there and they'll be taking other kinds of tests, probably. Anything that requires testing, Even, I mean, truck drivers, nurses, all kinds of people are taking tests like this. And so they're going to be taking their own tests. They don't care about you. They're not going to be watching you. They are there focused on their own test, just like you're focused on your own test. So the proctor is going to take you to that desk and say, this is your desk. They're going to put the form down. I think they made me sign a form at that point too, to say that I was there. Um, one reason I wanted you to go in 30 minutes early is because you need to get through all that process before your time for your test starts. So you want to be there whenever it's time for your test, sitting there at the desk. So they will bring up the screen, the right screen on that computer. You will have a keyboard, you will have a mouse, you will have a monitor, you'll have a piece of paper, one piece of paper, and you will have a pencil or pen. It is important that you don't start writing anything down on your paper until you've started the test on your computer. The reason for that is they feel that that's part of the testing process, and starting the test on the computer checks you in and starts the clock. And they will take your paper away if you do. There's a practice called brain dump, and basically you sit down and you write down all the stuff that you wanted to be able to remember so that you don't have to keep thinking about it. You write it down on a piece of paper and then you can work on your test. Don't do the brain dump until you check into the computer. So you sign into the computer, it's going to ask you a couple of questions. What is your name? I don't remember the questions. It's very basic identification. They already have you checked into the computer on their end. You have to check into the computer on your end. Then it's going to say your test has started. We'll go through the layout of the test in just a minute, but I want to get you through this part. At the point that your test has started, all you have to do is take your test. You can write on the paper. You got an on-screen calculator for any math. You do have to use the mouse to do the calculator. It doesn't have it. Well, mine didn't have a 10 key to enter numbers, so that the mouse makes it a little cumbersome, but it's doable. And so then you take your test, you finish your test, you've got the 3.5 hours, it's plenty of time. You submit the test, you have to wait about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and then you'll get your test results on the screen. The font is too small. They need a BA to tell them the font is too small. It is very small in the middle of the screen and will either tell you you passed or you didn't pass. And y'all are going to get you passed. It's right in the middle of the screen. Okay, so any questions about the process of taking the test, and then we'll go back into the application.
No, no, that's clear.
Okay. Jose, you're familiar with proctor test, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And Chetna, have you taken proctor test?
Yes, Thea.
Okay. Gabrielle, have you taken proctor test?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So y'all are ahead. I've had so many students that's like, that sounds really scary because they don't have the experience with it. And I've told people, go to the testing center the week before you take the test so you can kind of envision what it's like. They won't let you go back to the testing room, but you can walk in and have a brief conversation maybe with the person that's going to be there and look through the glass at the people that are taking the test. So y'all have that experience. Let's go on to the first page. This is professional development hours. I would encourage y'all, if you don't mind, go ahead and go into Slack and open up this document so that you have it on your own laptop and you can enter stuff in as we go, make notes as we go. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Let me know whenever you've got that done. I tell you what, I'm going to go grab a drink of water while you get that open. I'll be right back. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, Chetna, Gabrielle, did y'all get it open?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, I'll give you a minute. Do you need to see where it's at again?
Yes.
Okay, let me open that up. So in Slack, in the international group here,
Yes.
go into your file repository
Yes.
and then scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Yes.
And then you can download it.
I see a duplicate right here. I mean, there are two of those. Uh,
Uh, yeah, looks like I downloaded 2 yesterday. I was trying so hard to get it done for you.
so both are the same, right? We can
They're both
basically.
the same. They're both
Okay.
the same. Thanks for calling that out. After y'all get it downloaded, I'll delete one. Okay, Gabrielle, tell me whenever you got it. While Gabrielle's working on that, let's talk about courses that you've taken that you're not sure they would qualify as professional development hours. Do you have anything else that you've taken that you think you might be able to use?
Six Sigma.
Six Sigma? Yes, absolutely. Six Sigma works perfectly whenever we're talking about strategy analysis.
Sorry,
Um,
Tia, can you just repeat that again, the last bit? I mean, what exactly have we taken up in the last couple of months?
uh, yes. What courses or classes have you taken in the last 4 years that
Ah,
might qualify for
okay.
to attribute to this test? So Six Sigma works absolutely.
The other business analysis organizations, like for example here in Ireland and the UK, we also have the BCS, the British Computer Society.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Almost anything
I
from BCS it will qualify. The trick is identifying which knowledge area that the training applied to. Another
okay.
thing Six Sigma will qualify for, though, Jose, is solution evaluation because you're measuring a solution typically, right?
Yes, the DMIC. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So Six Sigma, almost anything from BCS, almost anything from the DOBAC group there in the UK, uh, almost anything from any IIBA chapter meeting that had some learning objectives with it.
IRAB, the requirements engineering.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, you got it. You understand.
Okay.
So I have the ITIL 4 master.
Uh-huh.
The
The ITIL?
the
Yes.
this is normally it should be in all classes.
I agree with you. It's an excellent piece of study, isn't it?
And I have Prince 2.
Uh-huh. Prince, great.
The seventh edition, it's the latest one, should be
Okay.
also in the last 2 years. And then I have the Scrum owner.
Okay. Scrum owner, awesome. I didn't know there was a Scrum owner. Seen Scrum Master and Product Owner. Is the course actually or
Scrum product owner.
Scrum Product Owner? Okay, cool. Scrum Product Owner is absolutely something that you could utilize for this. Are there
So
any?
this should be much more than the 35 hours.
You have exceeded your 35 hours, but I always encourage students to put in more than 35 hours. That way, if they come back and they say, I don't think that one really applies, you still have plenty on there. You don't have to go find something else to replace it with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there should be also business continuity management.
Yes, that definitely would be something that we would need to be aware of and consider as we're working through the different knowledge areas, isn't it?
अरे छोड़ो
All university courses like data science, programming, business analysis, business analytics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Would
Yes.
that count here on the technical front if there are any certifications or courses that you have taken up? But more technical on the cloud or AI or anything like it, or does it have to be purely business
No.
analysis associated?
As a business analyst, we often are called into doing things like stepping in as a scrum master or helping the DBA figure out how to allocate authority within the that particular table. You know, who's going to be the super user versus who's going to be the uh, frontline user. All those things, we take courses that help us learn how to work with the DBA or how to work with the developer or whoever else. Those help us be better business analysts. You just have to figure out how to couch it into the knowledge area so that it explains how it applies to the BABOK.
Right. And there should be evidences provisioned against that?
Um, Evidence is provision against that. We're going to write a description so well that it's going to provide the evidence that you need. And let's just jump into one.
Mhm.
In for this is a single, well, let me scroll back over here. Okay, this is a single class right here in this first column. And so it's giving you options here. Well, it's supposed to be giving us options here. So the record type, activity title, what's the name of the course? What's the name of the class that you took? Then
It's
your,
giving me the classroom course, chapter event, chapter
Mhm.
study group, conference workshop, or online course.
That's what this drop down should be doing, and it's not doing it well. But you're going to be able to know this whenever you're just putting it into the IBA. You don't have to have it here. But this part
No,
is
no,
the,
it's showing us, it's
oh,
showing me.
is it showing? It's not showing it for me. That's so weird. I don't see a drop down at all. Okay, so as long as y'all can see the drop down. So it's the type of course it is. And then the next line 5 is the activity title, which is the name of the course, name of the meeting, whatever it is that you're claiming. You put that here. Who provided? Who provided it? It's going to be here in your organization name. And you don't have to make it look pretty here. And I don't know if this is going to wrap or not, but just get the information in here because you're literally going to be copy pasting into the IBA's document whenever you put in your application. Then your description. I've had people write papers about what they learned, what was covered, put in all of the learning objectives. They don't want that. In the actual application, it's only going to give you, I think it's 40 to 60 characters. I mean, it's not a lot. So two sentences on what the course was about as it applies to BA role. Then contact email. I will tell you the truth. There are many courses that I took that I didn't have a contact email for the people anymore. That was years ago, 3 years ago. I've moved twice since then. So I put in my own email. It's like I was there. If you have questions, you can ask me. And they took it. Contact phone number, if it's available, use theirs. If it's not, put in your own. The start date needs to be within the last 4 years. The end date needs to be before today. whatever day that you enter it in. If you aren't finished with the course, but you've taken 2/3 of it, just put today as the end date whenever you're entering it into the IIBA. And then number of hours of credit that you get. Any questions for this header, this part right here?
Yeah.
It may require you to be a little bit of a detective by doing searches in your email or going back to your, your journal of what you did, but you can get this information.
Thea, there is an option which says online course. So in which case, if it's something from Coursera or Udemy or one of these portals where we have signed up for a training. So
As
let's say I
long
capture the information, but what can go in for contact information? Can we provision our own? Can we provide our own
you
contact details?
can, but be
Mm.
sure that you can ask questions of them and you can prove
Okay.
that you know it.
Okay.
And sometimes you can for those and sometimes you can't.
Uh-huh. I mean,
Okay.
as long as there's a course completion certificate, that should justify, right? Let's say if I've
Yeah.
signed up for something. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes, those course
Mhm.
completion certifications are gold. I tell my students, I think it's really important that you have a folder that you just drop all that stuff into. Drop your emails into it, drop your recommendations from people. People say, hey, you did a really great job on this. It made my life easier. Drop that into that folder. That way you got everything in one place. Okay, once you've got the basics about that, now you've got to do kind of an analysis of what you learned as it relates to the BABOK. This is the entire reason I made you wait this long to talk about the application. I have students that they want to talk about the application at the beginning of the course. They don't know the knowledge areas, and you can't provision what you did into the knowledge areas until you understand them. So you got your 6 knowledge areas here, and you can say, this was a 10-hour course, and we spent the first 3 hours doing this, and then we spent all the rest doing strategy analysis. Or you can say it was all in business analysis, planning, and monitoring. They don't really care about this part. They just want you to get a total number of hours in broken into the different knowledge areas. They're not going to go in and criticize, well, I think it was really 2 hours in this, not 3 hours in this. They're not going to go that much into depth. I do encourage you to always be honest. And then what resources did you use to prepare? Again, I can't see the drop down on my side. Can you see it on your side?
We see, yes, classroom course, chapter event, chapter study group, conference workshop, and online course.
That doesn't seem to be the right resources. Those seem to be the stuff up here that should have been at the top. Resources, I don't feel like is super critical. Again, they're not going to grade it. They're not going to evaluate it. They just kind of want you to put something in there. So that is, and as you work your way across, it's going to give you total professional development hours per knowledge area. Let's see. There's your valid categories, as Jose said earlier. I don't see chapter event on there. I tell you what, as y'all work through this, if you find improvements, please bring them back to me. So do I have any questions on filling out the professional development portion of your application?
No, I was going to ask a question, but the cell J2 actually answers it because I was going to ask how much time do I have to go for the exam after our completion of our training? Because my personal circumstances changed. I don't think I will be able to go for the exam straight away in
Right.
September, October.
Well, it's because you're taking what, 2 other exams, right?
I'm taking other exams and I just recently took a new job.
Oh, well, congratulations on that. And that takes a lot of brain power, doesn't it? to learn a new job. From the time you submit your application until the time you take your test, you've got a full year to be able to take the test. However, you don't have to fill out the application immediately. I do encourage you to try to take your test as soon as you can because, you'll be
Yeah,
losing the
yeah,
information out
yeah,
of your mind.
yeah,
But sometimes you can just do the best you can do.
yeah.
So you don't have to fill out the application for 5 years if you, I mean, 10, 20 years if you don't want to. Um, but the only deadline is between application acceptance and the time date you actually take the test is 1 year. Let me also mention if you schedule to take the test, let's say you schedule to take the test on October 15th, and 1st of October comes around and you go, you know what? I don't feel like I'm going to be ready on October 15th. Or I've got my family's going on a trip and I can't do it. You can reschedule. There is no penalty, there's no monetary impact to rescheduling your test. You just go into the PSI website and you say, this is what I had. I need to reschedule it to this other date. So you can push it out, but you can't push it out more than the 1 year boundary from the time your application was accepted. Okay? Any questions on professional development hours?
The last 4 years. So let's say I'm taking the test now, September 2026. 2022. So is the start date like September 2022, or it can be from September 2021 until August 2022 for those 4 years to count?
Let me read your question again here on my closed captioning. Hold on.
It's the last 4 years that
So
I
your
am.
application has to be, whenever you submit it, the last 4 years is to the date of the application, not to the date of the test.
Okay, to the date of the application. Okay.
Question, Thea.
Yes, ma'am.
On this tab for the PD, I was just wondering if there are any pointers or what would be strong courses to cover for these six language, I mean, of these modules, knowledge areas. I know a couple of them were cited here, but just wondering if I don't have enough captured in the last 4 years, then what would be possible online courses against each of these, which would be valid?
Okay, first of all, what you're taking right now is going to give you plenty of hours to take
Okay.
more
Mm-hmm.
courses. Let me think about what the best way to say this is. First of all, you don't have to have a certain number of hours in each knowledge area for this one. That's not a
Mm-hmm.
concern.
Yeah.
If you were to take a course that would apply quickly and give you the most bang for your buck whenever it comes to your professional credentials, I would tell you
Mm-hmm.
to take the Certified Scrum Product Owner, the CSPO. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
for that is it's a weekend and it
Mm-hmm.
gives you the letters after your name, and it's one of the most impactful, best courses I've ever taken. I learned things in that I was amazed at, and I thought whenever I walked in there, yeah, I'm just taking this course. Oh no, it was important.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing that would be, uh, first of all, I'm sorry, going back, certified Scrum product owner. I took mine through a company called C Prime, and it's lowercase c prime, and it's all no spaces in there. I can't tell you that's the best company. It was effective for me. Secondly, the reason I took it was because I was moving into an organization that was very, very agile, and I wanted to understand the product owner role better. and realizing that many BAs move into a product owner role, especially if the organization has gone agile and they go, we don't have BAs, we only have product owners or scrum masters. Which one do you want to be? I wanted to know which one I wanted to be. I'd been a scrum master. I wanted to get the product owner certification. Um, and it cost, I think it was less than $200 USD. So it wasn't super expensive. Another thing you can do is participate in chapter meetings that have learning objectives. So I've introduced you, uh, Chetna, to the UK IIBA, and they have events at, I think, at least once a month. The DOBAC group, DOBAC, they are another BA organization in the UK, and they have events multiple times a month. The
Mhm.
Ireland chapter of the IIBA has events at least once a month. And y'all are always welcome to the Tampa Bay organization. We have events every Thursday night.
Ah, okay.
So,
It's I mean, we can check for it on the portal, right? The IABA
yes,
portal where these events are scheduled. Okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All of the IIBA events are scheduled on the IIBA.org portal, or you can go to the different chapter websites. The DOBAC group is not an IIBA chapter, but they are a BA organization. Are you familiar with them?
Back, no, that's the first. No.
Okay. Well, let's pop in there real quick. Let's see if I can find them. Goback.org. David is a David is a colleague of mine. In fact, David was an author in the last book that we wrote. So they're in Manchester. This is the first line of my vision statement for the Tampa Bay. That's pretty cool. And then they have internships, they've got all kinds of stuff. This is their next presentation. So they are available to you as well.
Cool. Thanks, yeah. Well, look
My
it up and
pleasure.
register. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions about professional development? I want to answer all of them for you.
Just
Foundation
the last
come
one.
to,
I'll let you go. Go, sorry.
sorry, come to the IIBA Ireland. James Dean, the president, is a really cool guy.
He is a cool guy. Honestly, I've told him about 4 times, you're very young to have such wisdom about business analysis. He gets it. He's also a dancer, which is fun to watch his videos.
Is there also something for the HR uh,
Um, I'm
requirements?
I'm sure that there are several organizations for HR, but I'm not as familiar with those.
Oh, okay.
But
Thank you.
whenever you're working in HR, you're doing business analysis work, right? And so you can utilize their courses in this as well.
I have the examination in 9th of July.
Okay, very nice. So whenever you're talking about that examination, let's talk about how you would put the description in here so that the IIBA would understand it qualifies. You put it in HR language necessarily. So tell me about the course that you're going to take the examination against.
This is an IIBA course.
Okay, but tell me about it.
It's about requirements engineering for and use cases and the special uh, documentation and notation for the agile projects.
That qualifies as business analysis all over the place, doesn't it? You could literally put requirements engineering in relation to Agile use cases and the documentation and notation thereof. And that can be your description.
Yes,
Very
I can
good.
take the one from the IIBA course.
Mm-hmm. You might put at the end if you received a certification obtained or achieved or something like that. You don't have to put that, but I think that would just give it a little more strength.
But I'm just taking the test.
Okay. So do you get a certification if you pass the test?
Yes.
Okay. So put in this row right here, what we said a while ago, and then at the end put certification obtained, or don't put that. Just say you're studying for it, and you don't have to put anything.
Okay.
These are the topics I'm studying for. But taking the certification qualifies for the having your knowledge tested, right?
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's why it gives it more strength in the context of applying in this certification too. Any other courses or questions?
I
Chetna,
have
you
a
had a question.
last one. Yeah, I was just
Yes, ma'am.
wondering, Thea, if there is a sample of this form that somebody, or just an example that we can refer to understand how best this can be captured, this information here. So is there anything of updated template where we can just get a brief idea as to how this form needs to get filled? Any sample from somebody who's done this?
I have reviewed many students' forms, but because it feels very private to them, I haven't asked if we
Yeah,
could take an example of theirs. I tell you what, let's
maybe just
create.
mask all the information, not the personal details or the contact information, I think,
Sure.
as such. No names, perhaps just mask the important details, the private information, but something around just the knowledge area and how this information has been captured. Any sample that we can look at, refer to, basically.
I tell you what, let's do this class right here. So this is going to be the CBAP. Well, I'm not able to type into this form either. So let
Mm.
me
I
let
think you
me
may have accessed it directly as a document. Yeah,
okay.
download it, and then if I think you would be able to edit.
Okay, let's see if I can type into it now. Hmm. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's try it a different way. Okay. Chetna,
Hi,
why
Tia,
don't
you have to enable editing to type in.
okay, let's try it. I'm trying to type. My keyboard is typing. Let me okay, my external keyboard is okay. I'm still not able to type in here. Is there something else I should do?
Let me see.
It's a protected view. Thank you. Okay, let's try it this way. Ah, look, I can see the courses now. Okay. So, this is going to be a chapter study group. This is going to be a CBAP prep course. through the Tampa Bay BA. So that's what I would put there. And then our website, my first name, in, I'm going to give it all to you here. I'm going to drop my phone number in the chat so it's not on the recording, folks. That way you've got that. The start date was February. Let's go back and double check. Going into events. This started February 19th. And the end date, let's say I was going to submit the application today, I would put today's end date. Because it can't accept anything outside of this boundary. If you're doing this far in the future, let's say we actually finish the course, I'm expecting it to probably be October 1st, 2026, something like that. And then total number of hours, I will be able to give you your total number of hours whenever you're ready to apply, because I've got to literally go through all of these and see which ones you attended and how many hours. And then I can send you an email and say, this is how many hours you have credit for this course. So I'm going to say it's going to be 40 hours. This is an example. I don't want to leave this here. I don't want you to think that that applies to you, okay? And then whenever I say business analysis, oh, let me put 40 hours there. That's not what I want to do. I'm going to put 40 hours as an example there. And then whenever we say how many hours we did for each one, I'm going to guess. And what resources do we use to prepare? Chapter study group. It's going to be 48 hours. Okay. Does that help you, Chetna?
Thanks. Yeah, you have it covered. Okay.
Okay. So whenever you're ready to actually fill out your application, let me know and I'll compile how many hours each of you have been in this class. So I'll send out that email, and it will be like the official notification, and you can keep that in case they want to see something. Any other questions about professional development? Okay, let's move into work history. Okay, so again, organization name. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Organization name, the name of the literal name of the company you work for. Right now, mine would be Cincinnati Insurance Companies. And then our website, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Tia, one question here. So
Yes.
mostly been with service-based companies. So I've been deputed to work with clients, be it a banking institution or a retail, where I have been in the role of a BA. So here, does it mean my parent company's information or does it have to be the client? that I have been
Who
working for.
who is paying your salary? Who is paying you to do it?
Okay, the parent company. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay.
Here, the only reason I would ever put the client name in the description is if it's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Deloitte, KPMG, some organization that they're going to go, oh, that's legit. Something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't
Okay.
worry about the client's name at all. Um,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
then again, 2 sentences is usually enough. And I have in here put in BA language on purpose. If you have the title of project manager and you put in your project manager description here, in the past, and I can't tell you what they're doing now, but in the past, I have heard of them rejecting. That doesn't sound like BA work. That sounds like PM work. Well, you don't have to put your title on here at all, but you do have to make this BA sounding. So instead of saying establish milestones and communicated information to executives, which is very PM-ish, right? You say identified scope and boundaries and worked with stakeholders to achieve a upgrade in the human resources management tools or rewrite the laboratory management system or whatever. You just say the same thing, but in BA terms. Does that make sense? I'm not
Yes.
Yeah.
saying lie at all. I want you to just understand you've got to use our terms. Okay. And then your start date, again, if it's outside of that 10 years, don't use the date. I've had people call me crying because they've tried to submit it and it keeps saying invalid entry or something like that. And they're like, everything's true. It's true, but it's got to be within 10 years of the application date. So just calculate what's 10 years and then go back to that. So your start date has to be within 10 years. Your end date has to be today's date or within the last 10 years. So even if you're still working with them, you're not ending your job, but the end date that you're claiming hours for is right here. So let me show you what this is going to look like. I started with Cincinnati about this is about my date, 24. And so you see it's already started calculations, and I'm going to put today's date as an end date because I have to have an end date for this to be valid. And I would put my boss's first name, last name, her email, and her phone number here for this information. And so what this has done is it's calculated total days I've worked there between these two dates. But you don't work 7 days a week. But I did this so you would see the math. Days without weekends, took out the weekends right there. And then hours total at 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, no vacations in there. This is how many hours I get credit for. If you want to change this formula, you are welcome to. If you only work 6 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day, that's fine. If you want to go in here and you want to say, and I also want to subtract out 1 week of holiday and I took a day off for a sick day. You can do that. It's absolutely up to you. Okay? Does everyone understand editing the formula?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then what it's going to do is it's going to say, so you have 4,261 hours of BA credit. We're going to say that I was a BA. I'm just for argument's sake, I was doing BA work for 8 hours a day for all of these days, and this is how much I get because I took out all my holidays. So it wants you to enter information into the green areas, and it wants you to enter the percentage of time. So let's say I know that I did the same kind of project the entire time for 2 years. It might have been different projects, but they were the same kind of project. And I know that for all that time, I did basically the same model of work. I'm going to say I spent 20% of my time doing business analysis, planning, and monitoring. And it's going to calculate the number of hours, 20% of your hours total is right here. Then I'm going to say I did 30% elicitation and collaboration. Whoop, not 330. Thank you. Then I'm going to scroll down. I only did 5% of this. Strategy analysis was 20% again. Requirements analysis was 10%. Solution evaluation is 15%. Well, let's say I did 15% here. Down here, you can see this is telling you you've got too many hours allocated for that job based upon the hours that are up above. And so you need to go and figure out which one needs to be corrected so that you have the right number of hours. So let's change this back to 10%. I've got 100% of my hours allocated, and I know how many hours I worked for each one of these. And then here's another check. You know, percentages don't always round up. I mean, they round, and so they don't always get exactly the right number of hours. So it says that I'm 1 hour off. So I'm going to turn this into 640, and that gives me the exact number of hours that I had right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to put in your jobs across. I'm sorry, go ahead. Okay. You're going to put in your different jobs that you've had in the last 10 years across. And I don't care if you go from the one that was most recent and then the next most recent and the next most recent, or if you do it, this was 10 years ago, this was 9 years ago, etc. It doesn't matter which way you do it, just do it in a logical manner so that you can be sure you haven't skipped anything. Uh, many people, they grab their resume and they put in the dates, and I mean they put in the information at the top, and then they go back and they do their evaluation. One of the challenges is many resumes, you got the month and the year, you don't have the date. Just put in a date. It doesn't matter if you pick the first day of every month throughout or the 15th day of every month. If you can be absolutely accurate, that's great, but nobody's going to stress about it. Okay. At least that's my experience. So you've got your information for each of your jobs in. It's kind of calculate your total days. You change this formula any way you need to make it align with what you need. And then you put in your percentages and you be sure that you have this is 100 and this is 0 at the bottom. Once you get in all of your jobs, and you can put in more rows if you need to, just do an insert and insert rows here if you need to, but do it here in the middle. And then what it's going to also do is it says, okay, this is your total number of hours of experience, and you need 7,500 hours minimum here. So you need to be sure this number equals 7,500 or more. And it's also telling you how many hours you have per knowledge area. You need 900 hours in 4 of the 6 knowledge areas. So you need to as you work your way across this, you can check here and be sure, do I have at least 900 hours in at least 4 of these knowledge areas? So it's doing the calculations for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Have I lost y'all? Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here, Thea, but there were a couple of minutes where
Yep. Can you hear me?
I
we
can hear
lost you
you.
for a couple of
Yes.
minutes there, but now we
Oh, goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you lost me. Um, so did you hear me talk about the dates?
Yes,
yeah, we
until
have that covered. Yeah.
until the insertion of the columns.
Yes, okay, you got insertion of the columns. So you get your jobs for the last 10 years all in here. And this is going to tell you here, it's going to add across and give you the total number of hours for the last 10 years. And you know
Yes.
you need to be 7,500 or more. And it's also going to give you your total number of hours for each of the knowledge areas. And you know you need 900 hours in 4 of the 6 knowledge areas to qualify for the CBAP. So I'm not telling you to lie. If you need to add a volunteer job, um, whatever else you need to add so that you can get the credit, honest credit for a knowledge area that you might be like this one. I am real close to 900 hours, but I don't have 900 hours on here. So what else did I do that was planning and monitoring? um, my own retrospectives, planning. You can do a vacation, guys. Have you ever planned a vacation? So how am I going to approach planning a vacation? That's business analysis work. It's just applying to something that's not work. It's a vacation. So you got your planning, you got your elicitation, you got your everything. You can add that in as a um, personal activity for your family. But you've got to have your 900 hours. And again, I encourage you to have over the number you need here and over the number you need for the different knowledge areas. You know, you want to have, say, 950 instead of 900 if you can have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Okay. So let's get into something that seems a little more complicated here. Let's say in this company right here, in Cincinnati Insurance Companies, um, I really had 2 different jobs. I was doing business analysis work here, but one day a week I went and I was an administrator for a handheld point of sale device distribution to all of the locations, which this is what happened to me whenever I worked at Hallmark. So that wasn't so much business analysis. So I didn't want to count that I did 8 hours a day doing business analysis for that one day a week for that 6 months that I did it. And so I created it where I moved this from um 5 days a week, which is what this is here. I did it 4 days a week, and then I did another one right beside it that had a different description, and I said, for this one, I only got about 3 hours of business analysis work a day. And so I split it up that way. If you have different kinds of projects that this part down here is going to be very different, you don't want to necessarily put them all together. You want to be able to split it up in a way that makes logical sense to you without stressing you. Now, that without stressing you is important. I want you to hear that. I don't want you to go back to your timesheets and check every single thing. They don't care that much. I don't want you to put in so much effort into this that it makes you regret doing it. They don't care that much. I just want you to be honest. Um, be prudent about being honest. They don't want it down to the minute. They just want to know how many hours a day did you do business analysis work and how does it divide into the knowledge areas? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go into references. References, I told you you need 2 references that have known you for at least 6 months. And first name, last name, the work email, and contact phone number. If you want to use me, you are welcome to use me. You've got my phone number. I dropped it in the chat earlier, and you can use the president there. And if you want my work email, I can give that to you. But I think president works just fine. What questions do you have?
Uh, I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Okay, so just to reiterate, me go back to this. You do have the ability to save $50 US on the application fee right now through the end of this month. You don't have to have the whole application filled out to do this. They just want you to pay the fee this month. So that's the whole reason I'm kind of escalating this so that you can be thinking about it, getting it done this month. You don't need a promo code. Just go to, let me drop this link in the chat. And you can go to apply now. It's going to take you to this screen. And it's important that you sign in first. See, I have us signed in. It's better if you sign in. That way it automatically knows who you are. Oh, I have signed in. Okay. So sign in to the IIBA and then go and then get here. See, it says one. You can do more than one. I don't know why you would need to. Add to order. And then check out. And it takes you to a point of sale that you can put in your information. It will ask you to validate your mailing address first to be sure that they have the right mailing address for you. The reason they want to do that is that tells them what region you're in, which tells them how much you're supposed to be paying. We've got 3 regions in the IIBA. Basically, it's based upon the economy of that country. And so if you live in a country that is harder to live in, you have a lower rate to pay. If we live in first world countries, we pay a first world price. But the price right now is $95 for first world for region 1. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do you feel like you're equipped to at least pay the fee and save yourself some money
Yeah.
in the long run?
Yeah.
Okay. You saw that this is available on the website on Slack so that you can have access to it later. Again, if you find any improvements on there, please let me know. I want to make this good for other people, and I keep making improvements and then sharing it again. And then somebody says, oh, you could add these instructions. And so I add the instructions. But it's all here for you, and it's ready for you to move forward with. Whenever you're needing it, let me know. LinkedIn is the fastest way to reach me. Let me know that you need your hours for this course, and I'll pull all the hours for everybody in this course and create those emails and send them out to you. That way it will be up to date. At the end of the course, I'll do that, of course, but I want you to, if you're going to turn in your application before that point, I don't know why you would want to unless you're going to take the test before we finish the course. But if you're going to, I'm happy to create that. Okay, guys, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, please, I want to confirm something. Okay, so
Yes,
we can pay the application fee before submitting the form.
yes. You can pay
Oh,
the
okay.
application fee now, and you don't have to fill out the application itself and submit it for a year, 2 years. It doesn't matter. It's
Oh,
not time-based, but the only time-based thing you have is once the application is accepted, the date and time that it's accepted, you've got 1 year to take the test.
oh, okay, okay.
So, I mean, you can study for 2 more years if you want to. That is really hard on your brain. Y'all know how much work we put into it so far. And I don't want you to wait too long after we finish this course to actually take the test, because you will never know more by waiting than you do right now. You can learn a little bit more as we go through the course, but after the course is over, unless you're going to study on your own diligently, you're not going to know more than you will at that point. I have students that they have taken this course the first year, and then at the end of that time, they said, I'm just afraid I don't know enough. And so they studied for another 5 months and they joined us in the next course that we started. They were so burned out. Their family missed them, their kids missed them. They were discouraged. I had to talk them off the cliff several times. And after they went and they took the test and they passed it with flying colors, higher scores in 5 of the 6 knowledge areas, they came back to me and they said, I wish I'd taken it whenever we finished the course last time because I knew enough then. I just didn't believe in myself enough then. And so they spent that extra 5 months away from their family studying and torturing themselves. If you take it and you don't pass it, you have learned more from taking it than you did than from before you took it. You learned what the UI is like. You learned what it feels like to take the test. You learned what kind of the test questions specifically are on that test. You learned things that were on the test that you had challenges with. And there's a strategy for dealing with this. But I will tell you, my strategy was I went back to my car and I wrote down all the stuff I had trouble with because it was fresh in my mind. And I went home and I paid the fee and I rescheduled for 1 week out and I studied and I passed the test.
It's a rule you should have do the test whenever it is possible without delay.
I agree. I mean, let's finish the course together. Let's get all the information that you need under your belt and then go take the test if you can. But that means that you need to have your application in before that. The application process to get it accepted, give yourself 2 weeks. And then from that point, whenever you go to the PSI's website to schedule, you probably can't schedule for the next day. It's probably going to be a week or 2 weeks out. So I say start your application a good month before you want to take the test. And you don't have to tell anybody you're taking the test. It's all, it's your private thing. But whenever you pass it, I want you to let me know. I want to celebrate with you, okay?
Okay.
Okay,
All
okay,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, I will
Shush.
I will see you next week. We'll be going, I think we're on chapter 8, right? Next week.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll work
Yes.
through chapter 8 and then we'll start adding back in chapter 7. We'll do chapter 8 and chapter 7. Then we'll do chapter 8, chapter 7, chapter 6, and we'll just work our way back and add some of those test questions in just to remind you what we learned already. Get that fresh in your mind as we move forward. I do encourage you to go to Slack. Let's go back there. No, this one. Go to Slack and please work through these techniques. This one in particular, this one has the process flows, and then number 8, and the word problems and logic problems. 6, 8, and this. The rest of them have really incredibly important techniques in them too, but I know you're going to see this on the test. I know you're going to see these on the test, and this is some of the financial stuff too. All right, guys, I will see you next Saturday. Thank you for spending the heart of your Saturday with me. I hope it's been beneficial. And I hope that you are able to pay the fee this month just because I know it's going to save you money. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks to you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sia.
so much.
Have a great weekend.
Thank
Thank
you
you all.
so
Bye.
much.
You too.
Nice
Goodbye.
weekend. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.